The Orange Zone, sponsored by Billy Whitaker Cars and Trucks and Apex Entertainment.
Hello, everybody. Welcome into the Orange Zone podcast. We have Ashley Wenskoski. We have former SU running back and Super Bowl champion James Mungro. Rachel Culver is on the producer mic. I'm Samantha Croston. This is a podcast about Syracuse sports and beyond, and we are so happy to have you back here with us. This episode is going to focus on Syracuse football, the loss to Boston College, the road that lies ahead. But before we get into any of that, we do have to discuss something that was said at the Fran Brown press conference on Monday that has gotten some national traction in the hours since. The end of the press conference, we were talking about I'm actually trying to remember what it was that I even said.
No, because I was just going to say, your question, whatever it wasn't
about a shower.
Related.
So I asked this question at the end of the press conference that I remember what I asked. He comes in every Monday morning, and he has all these numbers ready to go. Like, this is who you need to look out for Cal. This is what the offense has to be about, et cetera. And I asked him, I'm like, what kind of preparation are you doing from the time that the game ends on Saturday to the time that you come here on Monday morning that you have all this ready to go? I'm like, this dude doesn't sleep. Like, something's happening between those hours. And that's where the shower comment came from. He was saying, yes, I do prep on Sunday. But he said, you know what, actually, rather than tell you about it, let's just play the clip in full so y'all can see what he said. Here it is.
Honestly, I got like a ritual. Like, when we lose, I ain't even getting a shower till early this morning. I just be mad. I just brush my teeth. But it's like, I don't deserve soap. I don't deserve to do all that. I'm just focused on like trying to get back and trying to make sure that our players mentally understand and know that I let them down, that they didn't do it. You know, I just wake up all night, especially when you lose. You like wake up like, dang, it really happened. You know, it really happened that way. So it's just different pieces. And then I just move on. There's a process that I follow every week. Win, lose, or draw. Only thing is like my wife, I can't sleep in the bed if we lose because I ain't gonna get in the shower for that day. I'm just mad and I just sit there. I just brush my teeth. That's what I have to do so y'all won't say my breath stink. But I'm just kind of locked in at certain things, certain ways. I think you gotta earn the right to do certain things. So, you know, winners get washed. You know what I'm saying? I'm a loser. I just kind of waited a little bit.
So, yeah, that was real, raw, honest, and probably a few other adjectives. But, yeah, I'll lead with this and then open the floor. I really don't think this came from any other standpoint other than, like, this is how he really feels. And to him, it genuinely is sort of like a punishment element is what I got. You really, like, I think he really thinks, I don't deserve this, and I want my players to know that the blame and accountability falls on me. What do you think about this, Mungro?
Coach got to wash his ass. Point blank. After a game like that, Coach got to wash his ass because that's real funky. That's just real funky. And is that what he likes to do? That's I couldn't believe he shared that, but he did. So let's talk about it. Maybe he's trying to get a Lumi commercial. I don't know.
Dove sponsorship, maybe.
Sponsorship, yeah. Sure. You know, I mean, like, you know, maybe it'll be the next spokesperson for Lumi. But, you know, everybody has their own superstitions and all that type of stuff, and I don't know how that would. I'm a germaphobe, so I would definitely have to be getting my butt in the water as a coach. I know he's sweating crazy out there.
We've seen how much he sweats.
Exactly.
Through the hats.
He needs to wash up a little bit. You know, wet ones, wipe ones. I don't know what you want to call it. He just got to wash up.
Yeah, I agree. I totally
you agree
think that,
or you disagree?
No, I agree. I agree. Don't get me wrong.
And hold on a second. And his wife, on the other hand, too.
I was thinking about that.
Yeah,
That's
his
what
wife,
I
on the
was
other hand, and
about
his
to
kids.
say.
Like, seriously, he needs to be in the garage. He needs to go in the garage or something else like that. I wouldn't permit him in the house.
That's what I was about to say. Is to your point about the punishment. Like, I know that's what he was going for, saying like, I sleep on the couch. I don't even sleep in the bed with my wife because I don't shower. Like, I'm punishing myself because we lost. Now, did I need to know that it was because he didn't shower? Like, no. Maybe we all know a little bit too much about each other in this social media day and age. Not really something that he needed to share. But I get what he was going for, jokes aside. However, what stuck out to me was he said, I didn't even get a shower until early this morning. That's on Monday. Like, that's...
The game was played on Saturday at noontime. At noontime.
Like, that is a full 48 hours.
He was on the plane. The heat was on the plane. It's hot. It was cold.
That's what I mean. Like, we didn't even shower on Sunday.
On Sunday, we were locked in on the film. Wait, does someone want to check in on his wife?
She
What
seems like
does
a lovely
his wife think?
You know what? They're high school sweethearts, and that
know.
screams high school sweetheart. Like
Yeah,
she's
you
just
would
like,
have-
yeah,
yeah,
I'm putting
yeah.
up with that.
That's so real. But I love how he said, like, he wasn't like, yeah, I shower and she needs to endure it. He's like, the one thing is I have to sleep on the couch because I'm not allowed to sleep with my wife.
He wouldn't be on the couch.
I know
would
that the
not
wife-
put him on the
Me
couch.
neither,
like
dude. I know.
Okay, I'll tell you something. Back in college, I'll never forget. We had a couple roommates that I don't want to get into it, but either way, even to
Mungro's like,
even to this day, when my son comes in from playing any type of sports or anything outside, he does not sit his butt on the sofa until he showers.
Yeah.
That's just a common rule in my house. Like if you're gonna be outside sweating, playing basketball, you're not gonna just sit on the couch and absorb all that sweat into the couch. Thank God we got leather couches, but still, that's real funky, man. I mean, come on, Coach Brown, you're better than that, baby. You're better than that.
What did you think just from like a playing football in the past standpoint, having coaches and various coaches throughout your time in the sport? Have you ever heard anything like this before?
No, I haven't. I mean, I've heard of some crazy stuff before, but I've never heard of that one. I just never heard of that one. You know, it's a hygiene problem. Lumi, I don't know, Lumi up, do something. I mean,
Winners get
I mean,
washed.
I swear to God, if I was there and he was sitting next to me on the plane, I'm like, yo, come on now, like. You gotta take care of that, bro. You gotta take care of that.
The best was him saying, I just brushed my teeth so that you guys won't say that my breath stinks. Other things, listen, man.
We got a few bigger problems.
He's a grown man. He ain't a little kid. You know what I mean? He's a grown ass man.
Yeah,
Like,
what
come
I want to
on
know
now,
is like,
coach.
what's the procedure there? Does he like douse himself in cologne? Like, is there like spray deodorant going on? Like, what is the procedure?
Or does he fully lean into it and use it as a punishment for those around him, especially the team?
Yeah, but like his family. Does his family deserve
You should
that?
make all the coaches do that.
Family
thing.
doesn't deserve that.
His wife doesn't. His wife did not lose the football game, man. I gotta say it.
Like, shout out to Mrs. Fran Brown. We are pulling for you.
We are rooting. Wait, we are rooting for a win for you.
Yes,
For your
I mean, that's,
sake. For your sake.
It has been a smelly few weeks in the household. The only
now, okay, think about this now. The Cal game coming up. That's a long flight.
Oh God.
A very long flight.
Across
Listen.
the
Like-
country.
listen.
Woo.
The only thing that I can say, like, I think that in these moments, and it's not just this time around, a few things like this have happened. And even sometimes it's like him misinterpreting it. Like Brent Axe from Syracuse.com asked a question that I thought was a really good question, essentially asking about some of the really big name coaches that he's played against who are like vet coaches. Like, what's the lesson there? And somehow from that, he kind of he's like, don't ever ask me again if I'm afraid of anything. The only thing I'm afraid of is losing my son or is losing my kids before I die. I was like, I don't really feel like anyone asked about that.
And spiders.
Right. Like you're a sicko, but I like that he's himself.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
He is
and that's
so
good. That's
real.
That's
Like,
Yeah.
you're really going to come out of these press conferences knowing a lot more about him, knowing a lot more about the inner workings of how he sees this entire operation, and maybe more than anything else, understanding the seriousness of this to him. This, like, he did not say this as a joke. He did not say this to get
Yeah.
laughs. I really don't believe that.
Yeah.
I really think he said
No,
this
it wasn't
because
a joke.
because he really does this. And
Well,
he said it's a ritual.
It's
Like,
something
it was
that he
serious.
started from, you know, hopefully they won't allow him when he was younger, but
Well, mind you, yeah, but the poor wife, he's coming from Georgia. He always smelled good. And then he
True,
comes to
true.
Syracuse.
Georgia's
God
hot too.
bless
Georgia's
him.
hot. Yeah.
You know what I
so
mean?
So, you know, when you think about that, he came from Georgia, so, you know, he didn't really have his wife didn't have to endure that at all
Yeah,
by no means.
but there's
'cause they
been
won
some
games.
stops along the way. Did we win a lot at Temple? Did we win
my
a lot
God.
at Rutgers? Did we win a lot when we played at Western Carolina? God help us all.
How long has this gone on for?
Yeah, I need to know the history. I will be asking the players today, by the way, if they, without getting into the details, if they knew about this beforehand, but also like if there's like a similar punishment kind of element that I guess they go through. I don't know.
And I'm gonna say this.
I
and
mean,
go ahead.
As players, I remember in college we did, you know, some silly stuff like, you know, during the spring game when the losers ate hot dogs and the winners ate steaks, you know,
Right,
stuff
right.
like that. I understand little rituals like that, but
But you
the whole
did take
showering thing,
showers,
yeah. We washed up now. I mean,
I'm gonna be honest. I would almost guarantee you that they say no, because to me this felt like a solo him thing. Like, he sort of said, I feel like in part he's doing this because he wants to tell the players this was on me. Like,
Yeah.
in some twisted way, he's like, this is my way of taking accountability for it.
Yeah.
Like, and he does that every week. Every single week he says, this is on me alone. I should have prepared them better for this. Like, those are still the kinds of things I respect. The shower is an extreme example of it, but I think if you had to put it somewhere in the DART framework, I guess I'm going to put it under accountability.
Sure. Yeah, I think he's kind of at level 3,000 every week.
Right.
Like, and I appreciate it. To your point of, like, I appreciate, like, him, I guess, trying to illustrate how seriously he takes this stuff, that he punishes himself, that he takes accountability. I totally get where he's going. I also feel like it is a hard balance to walk, A, with the media, and then B, with how people interpret this, even on a national level. It's like, you're at level 3, that you don't need to bite. I feel like we've had to be cautious in terms of what you're saying with Brent Axe, like, if we're even insinuating something sort of not even negative, but just if he doesn't like how he interprets it, then he gets very serious. And I like that he's fully himself, and I like that he's very serious, but I worry about his blood pressure. Like, it wasn't that serious. Take a deep breath.
Well, you know, something, you know, coach is looking at the big picture when you think about it. We lost against Pitt, unfortunately, and now it's BC, recruiting-wise. You know, you got to look at the big picture with a lot of different things, recruiting-wise. Now, you lost to 2 teams that's in your area for recruiting, and how do you explain that to the guys that are coming in now?
Yeah.
You know, that type of situation. So, you know, he has a full plate, I would have to say.
I would certainly say that. And I think, to your point, it's sort of 50-50. I know, right, now this got some national attraction. I just know his son's like, Dad, this is the one quote they pulled from you. It's going to be a long week.
Good old Braden's like, oh, man.
No, I know. But it is like, I think some people are going to love it and eat it up and be like, that's toughness, and that's a real football coach. And then the other half is going to be like, that's disgusting. He should have showered.
I mean,
but either way, he's real and he's himself.
You know, something, that's the connection he has with his players, and the honesty, and him being truthful, and you know, not sugarcoating stuff. Like, I mean, he could have sugarcoated that a little bit, not even talk about it, but I mean, I think that's the thing he has with the players. I mean, just the connections he has with the players, to be honest with them and be honest with the media too as well. So you got to respect a coach for being honest.
Yeah, I think all to say we are blessed to live in a world where he gives us, I mean, we came from Dino Babers, who talked coach speak about every single thing. Dino Babers, you felt like you didn't know the guy at all. Fran Brown, you kind of feel like you know the guy and that he's going to be honest with you. And that's certainly, obviously, a better feeling to have as a media member, but also just a fan, right? That your head coach is being straightforward and upfront and honest with you, even too honest, to a fault. But I think it's refreshing, and I think that's why some of this stuff, not even this, other things have gotten national attention, because it's refreshing from a college football head coach to actually hear real answers, because we're living in a world where that's not very common.
I do wonder if, like, at any point over the past however long it's been since this kind of came down and now it's getting national attention, like, there's a New York Post article that Ashley cited in that, like, just talking through all of this.
Do you think he's going to hate us for this?
No, I'm just, my biggest point is, like, I'm wondering if, like, he's viewing it from a point of, like, oh, I probably shouldn't have said that, or if he's, like, standing by it, you know?
Man, listen, Coach Brown has very, very thick skin.
Yeah.
He's seen it all. He's been through it all. As being an African-American coach, at a Division I school, there's not many coaches, and, you know, let him speak his mind. Let him do it. Like, you know, that's the way it is, Coach. I know what you're saying. You know, personally, I think you should wash up a little bit, but it is what it is. And, you know, getting defeated by Boston College in that magnitude, in that fashion, is just, it's horrible. And he was just making how terrible that loss was, and it was just embarrassing. It was embarrassing all around the whole board of everything aspect of the whole game. The players, we had 2 running backs over 100 yards that were fourth and third string running backs. Like, you don't see that. I mean, that's the most yards his kids had in 3 years. One of the kids there, 198 yards for one guy and then 133 from another guy. That's you cannot win.
And they took their starting quarterback out of the game.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we're moving into talking more about the game right now. I wanted to focus on your point there for a second, though, because a couple bad losses this year, right? Stanford is certainly top of that list. But Pitt and Boston College, we saw the disaster at Pitt. Now we had a similar disaster at Boston College. It means more regardless of where those teams are in the ACC standings this year, right? Pitt is a good team this year, although they then lost again this week. It means more to those 2 teams. Your point is recruiting. It feels like Pitt, Boston College, and Syracuse kind of live in a little bit of their own bubble within the ACC, because those are the Northeast teams. Those are the teams that came from the Big East. They have that history, that rivalry. They compete for recruits in New Jersey and in the Northeast and beyond. And to get, I guess, showed out by both Pitt and Boston College this year it stings a little extra because you're Syracuse, you have this new coaching staff, this new mantra, you're trying to get this national attention. And then when it's Pitt and BC that rock your world, that stings a little extra.
I agree. And I know Mungro's chomping at the bit to get into the football. So let's get into it and just conclude with Fran Brown. Where's his heart on his sleeve?
Yeah.
And his stink after a loss. Okay. Listen.
In his stink after the loss.
Listen, I think Boston College, right, a little bit of a different situation than Pitt, at least in my eyes, in the fact that this wasn't a blowout. This wasn't, they took the quarterback out of the game. But yeah, listen, it hurt. And I got to give Mungro some credit. We both said that this was going to be a loss against Boston College. And I wasn't sure about that going into it, but you ended up being right.
I hate being right.
I know.
I'll be honest with you, I really, it hurt. I was very upset watching the game and had a lot of things come out of my mouth that I said that I just, I'll leave it there. But, it's embarrassing. It just was a very embarrassing game. I honestly felt we looked good maybe on the first drive, and then after that, the momentum just totally shifted, and we just never could get anything right. And after all the things that BC did wrong, we couldn't capitalize on nothing on, all the turnovers, the special teams. Like, we didn't capitalize on anything that they did. I mean, we had 91 yards and penalties again.
10
like,
penalties
you
for 91 yards.
cannot win games that way. And yeah, you'll be up to, the bottom feeders, I would call them, the teams that are just there, that, schools that are good schools, but they haven't been good in a long time. But we're at that point. Like, we have not been good in a long time. So it's kind of like, our expectation is like, we're going to go out there and win every single game. And we felt that way. In my heart, I honestly feel that Syracuse could have done that this past year. But just the team chemistry is not there yet. The team chemistry is just not there. I mean, you see a glimpse of greatness, then you see, like, what are we watching? That type of situation.
Yeah, I think, to your point, Syracuse is trying to separate itself from that narrative of these teams that might be getting left behind in the broader college football national scope. And I think they can get there under Fran Brown, wholeheartedly. But they have not yet. And those two losses to both Pitt and Boston College in similar situations to ACC teams really illustrate that. I mean, this game was just, listen, they fought until the end. Kyle McCord was out there. They had a chance until the end. The onside kick would have went their way. But you shouldn't be in that situation for the onside kick. And that's the point. I mean, you lost to a team that had their backup quarterback out there for the second half, that had no semblance of a passing game pretty much throughout the game, beat you on the ground. Your defense had no way to stop it. I mean, it's an in-game adjustment, right? A, you probably knew that they were going to do that coming into this game. B, then they did it to you. You had no way to stop it. And C, the defense is just abysmal. I mean, you have to come up with a different schematic approach throughout that game when you see what's going on. You have to stack the box. For them to just stick with the same 3-3-5 or whatever they were doing is insane.
I mean, yeah.
As a running back, Boston College, they were loving it.
Yeah.
I mean, the holes were so big. I mean, watching the game, like, holy smokes, this is unbelievable. And then, with Kyle, one of the plays I saw when Kyle scrambled, the poor receiver got blasted. Yeah. You know what I'm talking about? He just got blasted. And you got to have your head on a swivel. You got to pay attention. You got to, be in the game. And the poor receiver, the quarterback's running, he turned around very quick, late, and got blasted. Kyle should went over there, helped him pick him up off the ground. But it's just, all around, the team is still trying to find their identity. And unfortunately, there's, 4 games left? Counting.
And there's three regular season games and then the bowl game.
And there's no guarantee we make it to a bowl game. I mean, there's no guarantee. Being the wins we have right now, the 6 wins, there's other teams. We're playing Cal very shortly. Cal is going to be very hungry for the simple fact that they have 5 wins. Yeah. Moving forward, it's going to be very tough. And moving forward, what the other teams do. I mean, if you're a coach, what would you do?
Yeah.
Well, I'm asking, what would you do if you're a coach?
If
you're playing Syracuse, what's your plan?
Well, I'm going to run the ball because they haven't proven that they can stop it.
Exactly.
Against anyone, not just Boston College. Other teams have done this to them this year.
It
Georgia Tech employed a similar approach.
It didn't matter who the quarterback was. Yeah. All you had to do was hand the ball off.
Yeah.
All you do is hand the ball off.
And they cannot stop you. And then you see it on the Syracuse side of things where the O-line literally can't block. Kyle McCord was getting
crushed
in that game. And you see the similar, LaQuint Allen has not been able to find his holes and has not been able to, I think, he's had a good year, but have the great year that he's wanted to because the O-line cannot protect him.
Yeah, the touchdown that he scored on was he was supposed to be going left, and that got all clogged up. He just took it all the way to the right, and good vision, he was able to get in. But, again, they got beat up and down all around the whole board, and coach was very embarrassed about it, and the players should be embarrassed about it.
And as much as we've beat up on the defense, because I think that was the focal point of this game, right? You should be able to win a football game that you score 31 points in. The offense, the same thing. I mean, coming out with those slow starts, I don't know what it is. Nobody has an answer for it. You ask everybody. Nobody knows. But Kyle McCord and that offense coming out in these first quarters, these first halves, and just not having it and having to launch these second half comebacks to the Stars is not a good strategy. We've seen that it's not a good strategy. For you to have to play from behind on offense like that is just, it's going to fail you. It failed you against Stanford, and it failed you again here in this game.
And you see the numbers, like, you passing like over 300, 400 yards, passing, total yards, I'm saying.
Yeah.
Balanced and time possession was pretty balanced. But we're not executing when we need to execute. And those numbers don't mean nothing. At the end of the day, what the number matters if you won or lost.
They're a one-dimensional team on offense. That's just the blatant truth. They're a one-dimensional team, and they can't stop the run on defense. So if I'm a team going against them, if I'm Cal or UConn or Miami, it seems to me a very clear vision what I need to do to beat Syracuse. Now, can they turn that narrative around in the last 3 games? Maybe. I know Fran Brown knows this. I know we've all been talking about it all week, so we'll see.
Preach.
I mean, I really enjoy Kyle being the quarterback. I really, really do. And I'm not trying to look too early into things, but my concern right now is just the whole recruiting stuff. Like, okay, we have one quarterback, this year. 4 more games at the most we're going to play next. Then what is Syracuse going to do after that?
Well,
who's going to be the quarterback?
That
so,
is clearly gonna
who's
be a
going to be the
hole
quarterback? Like, because I honestly feel like, looking at the big picture too as well, is like now with this transportal, people moving around, stuff like that, you need a quarterback at least 2 years to have that type of chemistry, to get it right and to be able to get the timing and everything all done. This is kind of put together in 1 year, half a year of getting Kyle here and then, practicing in summertime and stuff like that. It takes a little bit longer than that. It really does to get that team chemistry. Yeah, we saw glimpses of greatness and stuff like that. People's going to make plays, but Gadsden's pass in the end zone, you caught it with one hand. That's just the player. It wasn't really the pass.
Catch.
It was a hell of a catch. A hell of a catch.
Yeah.
But, again, Syracuse has to find out what the identity is going to be moving forward. Like, what are they trying to do? What are they trying to accomplish? And let the community know about what's going on as well.
Yeah, I think on the quarterback front, you touched on it. It is a dangerous thing, too. I see some people on social media being like, oh, Kyle McCord this year. Can Syracuse become this kind of transfer quarterback All right, you didn't do well at your first school. Come here and turn around the offense. That's a dangerous strategy to employ.
And I was thinking about that, exactly what you just said.
Because to your point, even a Kyle McCord, a true pro, a pro's pro, a guy who is going to get NFL looks next year, you can only do so much when you've only been there for a few months. You need to have chemistry with your offensive line, with your receivers, with your running back, just with the offense. You need to gel. I'm not saying it's Kyle McCord's fault. I think Kyle McCord has saved this team a lot of times this year. But I think there is still value in this transfer portal era of growing and developing a quarterback that either you recruit as a freshman, I know they like Jakari Williams, we'll see what happens there, or that has been around your program for 2 years, 3 years. There's definitely value in that, and we'll see what they end up doing. But I think fans right now are just left with an overwhelming taste in their mouth. Like, we have Kyle McCord, and we're looking at best right now, going 9-3, 8-4? I mean, when you consider Miami's in there. So it's just like, and I said this on social media this week, you can feel 2 things at the same time. Like, a first-year coaching staff deserves patience from us. Fran Brown deserves patience.
100%, yes.
Elijah Robinson deserves patience. But also, Kyle McCord's your quarterback, and it does feel like there has been a large amount of talent this year that's been, I hate to say, squandered, but, just not really reached its full potential.
And it's going to feel like that, I think, because, like you said, no one's sitting here saying, I wish we didn't have Kyle McCord. To have him for 1 year would be better than not having him at all.
Yes.
But, yeah,
and
now
he has spoiled us because we have not had a good quarterback in a while. And now it's like, okay, we have him. Now he's going to be gone and very shortly he's going to be gone. And now what are we going to do now? What's the next step? So let's enjoy the ride and hopefully Syracuse will get their stuff together very shortly, because it's going to be a long plane ride back home if they don't.
Preach. Let's move on because we don't have a ton of time. Looking ahead to California, this is all I'm going to say. This is a team that their record does not reflect just how good they are. Okay, this is a team who is 5-4 overall, 1-4 in the conference, but they lost to Miami, number 8 at the time, 39-38. They lost to Pittsburgh, a team that's having a great season, 17-15. And they just put up 46 points against Wake Forest. You think this is just a little walk in the park, a little fly over to the West Coast? You're goddamn wrong.
No.
It's not.
No.
It's going to be a very tough game, and it's going to be a telling game.
It really is. I'm just tongue-tied because I don't know what I need to say.
So put that in your pipe and smoke it.
It's just like kind of like, what team are we going to see out there? A team that's hungry, or a team that's just like, oh, this is a long flight, still having, lackadaisical about what happened, still worrying about what happened a couple weeks ago. Like, it's really going to be determined if they can stop the run. If they can stop the run, they can win the game. If they can't stop the run, they're not going to win the game.
And that's going to be for the rest of their games, I think.
The rest of the next
question.
games, yes.
But I want to reference Rachel's beautiful ripper of a document here, as she puts it. In the ACC, Cal is number 1 in scoring defense, allowing just 19.3 points per game. Fran Brown said in his press conference they are going to face, in his opinion, the best cornerback in the ACC this week. We'll see if that's a factor. They are number 2 in the league in total yards allowed per contest. But she says, that being said, the Golden Bears are number 14 in the ACC in rushing yards per contest at 118.3. Could be good for Syracuse, but please reference abysmal against the run portion of this ripper of a document. That's grade A work, Rachel.
Well, 118, that's, what was Boston College? Right. I mean, they're on their third and fourth running back, and the guy hasn't had over 100 yards in 3 years and has 198 yards. So that stat with 118, Cal's going to come out and try to run the ball. That's their way of showing, listen, this is what we're going to do. This is your weakness. How do you stop it? Until you stop it, that's all we're going to do is run the ball.
Yeah, it speaks to the state of Syracuse's run defense that we're sitting here saying that they're 14th in the conference and we still don't feel good.
Preach. Predictions. What do we think?
Unfortunately, I think Syracuse is going to get beat against Cal. I think Cal is going to be a lot more hungry than Syracuse.
Score?
I didn't get that far yet, but
right. We'll come back to you if you want.
Okay, I appreciate it.
Oh, God.
It's a tough one.
I know.
It's a tough one.
Part of me feels like they're going to come out hungrier than ever and pissed off from last week, and we saw them turn it around after the Pitt game, right, and come out pissed off against Virginia Tech. So we've seen that work before. The other part of me just feels like, the defense, I know Elijah Robinson and Rob Wright and all of those defensive staff are sitting in a room this week trying to figure out how to make this work, because I think the problem was so glaringly obvious against Boston College. But I don't know if I have the trust yet to say that they're going to come up with a way to stop it. They really haven't given me a reason to say that. So I think Syracuse loses this game. Also, it's just a fact. Anytime you're flying across the entire country, 3,000 miles, or on the road at all, it's harder to win the football game. 3 o'clock at Cal. I hate to say it, but I think they're going to lose. I
am going to go Syracuse wins this one.
Ooh,
I think I think that I think the loss to Boston College really stung. Like, not just for Fran Brown, but also for the players. Like, this was a rivalry game. This is a game that you take a lot of pride in.
It definitely stung for the players. The players are definitely stung. They're trying to figure out what happened.
They're hurting. And I know it's up to the coaches to figure it out. But to Ashley's point, like, yes, knowing a problem exists and fixing it are two totally different things. But the problem is obvious. The game plan for Cal is clear. Like, you just have to fix it. And I think enough weeks have gone by, enough film has been seen where there's going to be something different here. Because we're sort of kind of getting to that point where it's like, what do you have to lose? Like, the things that you've been doing aren't working. Let's try something different. And I think a team against Cal is the right way to do that. And I do like what Rachel put. I think the fact that the Golden Bears are number 14 within the ACC in rushing yards per contest, that's something that matters to me. So with all of those things and just knowing the level of motivation that they probably have to make this season one that ends on a good note and to break once and for all that mold of Syracuse football sucks in November, here is a good opportunity to do that, and I think that they're going to take advantage of it. I think it's going to be close, but I really do. I think that they are capable at their best.
Well, they're capable
of winning against this team. It's a matter of, are you going to see it?
They're capable of winning. They're totally 100% capable of winning when you're playing good football. But when you're not tackling, and you're staking 4 or 5 guys, and the guy's already 4 or 5 yards down the field, and you miss a tackle, then another guy gets him at the 10. After you got 10 yards, it's like you got to tackle. You got to tackle, and there's a lot of opportunity out there for Syracuse. And fortunate enough for us, I mean, you can't really go backwards. You know what I mean? Like, you can't really go backwards because they already have shown they can't stop the run. So now if they stop the run, it's going to be very surprising. Like, it's going to be like, okay, we can do this. We can do this.
They've shown what they are, right?
Yes.
And if they can fix that, then we'll see. But I would like to point out that if they do lose this Cal game, I am very confident that at that point we're looking at a 7-5 season. Because do I believe that they can beat number 4 Miami right now? No, I do not.
Yeah, and that's the last thing. Then we're going to wrap it up. I like what Rachel put here, a little exercise. Let's just say they ended the season 7-5. She put 7-5 would be blank. Just one word, how you'd feel. 7-5 would be...
disappointing.
I was going to say
I'm
the
really
exact
sorry.
same thing.
With Kyle McCord as your quarterback and the schedule you had this year, 7-5 is disappointing.
It's disappointing. Totally agree.
I wouldn't say that. I would say a good year.
Okay. He'd say 7-5 is a good year.
We looked at the whole big factor with new coaches, new quarterback. That's pretty good. I think what they're able to put together, I think all those numbers right there, it's good. I mean, 7-5. I mean, I'm not saying that it's good. Good year for them.
8-4 would be blank.
8-4 in my eyes is a marked improvement, right? You went 6-6, 6-7 last year with the bowl game. 8-4 is an improvement.
Heading in the right direction.
Heading in the right direction. The best regular season record since 2018.
Sure.
That matters.
Sure.
9-3 would be spicy.
I mean, at this point, 9-3 means that you beat Miami.
Life altering.
So 9-3 would be, life changing, program changing.
Yes, agree.
Then 9-3 is like, okay, yeah, you lost against these teams that you should have beat, but now you beat the big dog.
9-3 would be a lot less stinky.
9-3 would be like, I'm almost confused because how do you lose to Stanford and beat Miami?
Yeah,
But
how do you get blown out by Pittsburgh and then all of a sudden you beat one of the best teams in the country that's trying to win a national championship?
yeah, 9-3, like I'm confused, but I'm interested in you for sure.
I love it. Rachel, what's your prediction? Then we're getting out of here.
I would say my prediction is that Syracuse is going to win, and I say that because I think it's our job to sit here and be critical about everything, right? But at the end of the day, I think I just am choosing to lean on the fact that I believe in Fran Brown, and it doesn't matter, regardless of a win or loss. That's not going to change it, so I might as well be optimistic heading into this one. So that's basically my only reasoning for that.
I appreciate it. All right, thank you so much, everybody, for sticking with us. You got something else, Mungro?
No, nothing.
Oh,
no.
Okay. We will see you back here for another football episode. We'll be finishing out the football season with you, but also be on the lookout for a couple of basketball episodes being sprinkled here and there. Some Kai and Anthony talk coming later this week. You can find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. We're everywhere on social media at the Orange Zone Pod, the Orange Zone
Syracuse.
Podcast.
The Orange Zone
Syracuse,
Podcast.
please win for Mrs. Brown, please.
Yeah,
Please win for Mrs.
please, for Mrs. Brown, if no other reason, win this damn football game. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you again next week.